Welcome to episode 61 of the Achieve Workplace Culture podcast, where we help you, our listeners, find actionable ways to strengthen your workplace culture. Today, we're going to talk about what you do when someone brings an issue to you to solve.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm Eric Stutzman. I'm with my co-hosts, Chris Downey and Wendy Lowen. I want to start by asking you each a question. Do you like solving problems?
Ooh, I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's a natural tendency, especially if in your leadership role, it's like, let's be efficient with this. There's a problem. We very quickly see the road to the solution and let's go.
And one thing to add, I love it even more when someone brings a problem
Right.
to
Oh,
me.
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Ooh, they've come to me for advice. I love it. Yeah, it lights me right up.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I've got this issue with my team, or I've got this issue with whoever or whatever. And you know what to do, or you have this sense of what to do.
Right.
Okay, great. Well, let's take that energy and let's talk about the leader's role in solving problems in the workplace.
Yes.
Particularly when somebody else comes to us and says, I've got a problem.
Yep.
Is it the leader's role to solve those problems?
I mean, ultimately, maybe yes.
Okay, say
the
more.
long picture, you want to help move towards solution, but what that moving towards better looks like may not be the instant fix and giving our solution in that particular moment. In fact, I think it's actually not to solve the problem in the moment, unless it's like something that's a crisis or an ethical issue. Then, of course, we jump in. But more often than not, you know, people coming to us and like, this is really complicated. I'm struggling here. Those are the places where we need to, you know, sort of keep our ego in check and our mental solution that's just coming to mind, to sort of park that for a bit.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is, as you mentioned, ultimately to solve the problem, but not to ensure the problem is solved.
That's
This is maybe the way of
nice
putting
reframe.
that, right?
Yeah.
Because we might not be doing the problem solving, but we're going to be providing support to that case.
So that problems get solved.
Yes.
Yes. So somebody comes to you and there's a issue on their team, or there's an issue with something to do with work, and they walk into your office and they say, Chris, Wendy, got this issue, help.
Yeah.
What should you, as a leader who cares about a culture of competency in your workplace, you actually want to be competent, but you want a bigger sense of competency out there. What should you be doing? What's your reaction when somebody says, I've got a problem?
Okay.
What's next?
I would say, first of all, just to reiterate what we said, you don't jump in with the solution, because what you're reinforcing in terms of the culture is that the person who's come to you, you're obviously not able to solve this. You need me to be the wisdom giver, so I'm going to give you the solution. So I think it's very important that we step back and we withhold from instantly giving what we think.
Yeah. I agree. I think part of it too is, let's be realistic. Often when someone shows up at your office with a problem, what even is the problem? Because oftentimes it's not on the surface of what's being brought there. So we really need to make sure we understand. So to answer your question, what do you do when someone says, I have a problem? Say, tell me about it.
Yeah.
Say more.
Just say more. If this is important though. If someone comes to you and you're going to listen to what they have to say, make sure you have time to do that.
Yes.
Right? So the way if someone showed up and there's a lot of intensity, I'd say, this sounds really important. I've got, and I would time bound. I've got some time now. Is enough time to talk about it? I want to hear about it. And if it's not, then can we book some time to talk about this? So that's a key piece. Because the worst thing you can do is say, yeah, tell me about it. And all of a sudden you're like, you're not paying attention. So tell me more. Help me understand what it is you're struggling with. Go ahead, Wendy.
No, I was just verbally
You're
agreeing with you. Yeah. You need to make time and space because even emotionally, if you are distracted, you won't be listening properly to what they're communicating. You might verbally ask the right questions, but in your mind, you're thinking about what's next, or you're problem solving your own list of problems.
Yeah. So I think so. Just tell me more about it is one. And the next question becomes, it could be one of two that you could ask. What do you need from me to begin with?
Yes.
Or even, what were you hoping for by coming to see me?
Yeah. Yeah, because sometimes people just want a sounding board. They just want to have someone legitimize that this is something that's difficult for them.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that's let's really understand what the problem is, or the perceived problem is, and how we may or may not be needed, and what they might be needing. We need to figure that out, and we can get to that in a matter of minutes.
Sure.
Yeah.
What are you hoping for from this conversation, or how are you imagining I might be able to help you is really important to know, because they might be coming to you saying, I just want to talk, or I've tried 17 things and I'm really stuck.
Yeah.
Yes. And Eric, I think that's the next part of it is if they don't offer that I've already tried these things, to ask that question. Well, what have you tried? What have, you already been involved in?
Yeah.
So that you're saying, you're giving them the responsibility for the issue, and you're also saying, I trust that you are thinking about this. You're trying to work through this, and I'll play my part here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a problem. If I start solving everybody's problems, guess what? They all come to me.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
it might
sure.
feel good. There's a little dopamine rush, but then other people aren't. I get busier.
Yes.
They get disempowered. They're not building their own thinking muscles, their own leadership muscles, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then I think there's a third problem. Guess who gets blamed when things don't go the right way?
Yeah.
Or, guess who, do you want that?
I'll share. There's a point in my career, I was working for an organization. We're going through some culturally challenging times. And my office became a bit of a revolving door of people coming in and laying out their issues. And I'll be honest, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. Now, it was, at the time, I thought I was being super helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was doing was fulfilling my own needs there, because I wanted to
Right.
I actually found some significance in this. But what I would do would listen and be like, oh, that's terrible. And then I would take action, and I'd go talk to their leader about what was going on. Now I involved myself in the conflict or the challenge. And as you mentioned, Eric, I'd get blamed for it. I was also not really helpful to the individuals that came to see me, right? Because they maybe have just come in to talk, and now I've actually escalated
And you carry the
matters.
message somewhere else. Yeah.
And above all else, you know what I wasn't doing?
No.
My job. Like, I was missing it all, and I would leave at the end of the day.
Exhausted.
Like, I'd be like, oh, this is a good day. I helped so many people. None of the things I was there to do were getting done. And I realized that even as following what we just talked about, so if someone showed up in my office and said, hey, you got a minute?
Yeah.
And I said, I do. What were you hoping for when you came to see me? Oh, I've got this problem. Okay, well, I've got about 15 minutes now. You want to tell me about it?
Yeah.
Right? They tell me, that sounds difficult. What do you need from me? I just need to vent a little bit. Okay, awesome. Thanks for coming to see me. Back at it again. Like, just follow what we talked about. If I had done that, I'm thinking that when I think about that time period in my career, it was about a 6-month window. That would have changed so much. And I realized I was trying to be helpful, because when I had my enthusiasm, when I said I love solving problems, that was all about me. It wasn't about the individuals. So ask, I think, is our key.
Yeah.
What is the problem? How can I help?
How can I help?
Yep.
What have you tried?
Yep.
And because we want to shift people from moving or thinking about finding answers to thinking, to be able to deeply engage. And, I encountered a term a while ago. It was called instinctive elaboration. And when we ask it can be very bad in conflict when it's where you psychologically, you fill in the blanks, right? So it can be where we see something happen. Someone didn't say hi to me in the office. And so you fill in the blanks. They don't like me anymore. There's no objective truth to that, but we make up a narrative.
Right.
So that's the bad part of that concept. But the positive of that is when you've been asked a question, you can't help but think about it.
Right.
So if in a situation somebody comes to you with an issue, and rather than you giving them the solution, which is only your solution,
Right.
and you already know it, you don't know what the other options are, you're not allowing the person to continue to think about that problem and what might be a solution.
If you don't ask them a
If
question.
you don't ask the question or ask a question.
Okay.
It's got to start with a question, for sure. I think that's kind of a common to anything here. I think, however, there are certain moments where, What do you need? It's like, I need to know the project number. Oh, okay, it's
Yes.
3. Carry
Yeah,
on.
right.
So it might be,
So-
so tell me about not knowing the project number. There's times of
Where
when-
have you
yeah.
looked for the
Yeah.
project number?
Yeah, there's a fine line of being helpful and condescending, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
This example is like choose your ending, right? Like
Yeah.
sometimes when
course.
people come into your office and they need help or they're asking for your input on something, sometimes you offer a solution, sometimes you dig in, and sometimes you need to take immediate action
course.
if there's something.
But asking the question gets you to one of
Yeah.
those
Okay,
pathways.
can I just put something out there though? So, there's some leaders out there that are very wise. They're very gifted. They've been in the organization a long time, and they know a lot about what makes the world go round in their
Sure.
organization.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's imagine somebody like that. Let's go, and somebody comes to them and says, "I'm kind of stuck."
Yeah.
When does a leader get to offer some advice?
I think that's incredibly important to think about because we shouldn't withhold information that might be valuable. I think the issue is the order of
The order.
operations, right?
Okay.
Like
Yeah, well
when do you share that information? Because things that you, Eric, will do intuitively and somebody else maybe wants to get to that level, their learning journey isn't quite
Yeah.
where you are at. And you want to encourage them down that path of learning. So yes, your insight and wisdom and what you've learned is really
Right.
important to offer, but maybe not the first thing.
I love that, Wendy. You nailed it. Because I think part of it is, you're right, there are a lot of wise individuals and organizations, and this is usually what happens. Oh, I've seen this before,
Yeah.
but you haven't. You've never seen this through the lens of the person that's just brought it forward.
That's
And that's our default when we know a lot about something.
Right.
Honestly, we see this in parenting. The moment someone says they're expecting a child, all of the advice comes from
So
us,
much of
right?
it.
It's like, when I was, well, you're not them.
Yeah.
Right. And so when someone says, I've had this, you've never faced the problem, even if it's been the same technical issue,
Yeah.
quite the same. So I think there might be an opportunity for advice, but let's sequentially get there. And it might even just be, can I tell you what I did when I was facing
Yes.
the
Exactly.
same?
More of an
Yes.
experience share than a you should do.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a really different.
Yes.
Right. An experience share allows me to think, how can I enter into a story like that rather than the you should follow this path?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So order of operations makes a big difference here.
Yeah.
Listen. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think an underpinning what we're talking about, as I shared my over experiences or previous experience, was not make it about us. See, the moment we said, you know what I did?
Yeah.
We just bring it back into us.
Yeah.
Right. And the moment someone says, can I lay some money? Yeah, we're making it about us. If someone comes to us with a problem, let's make sure we stick in their story
Yeah.
Yeah.
and not unintentionally pull it into ours.
Yeah, because if they've come and asked the question, they obviously want to work towards a solution, and us sharing our experience and what we've done in the past, they can choose what to do with that.
Yeah.
Maybe there are nuggets that spark something
Yeah.
for them. Maybe they put it in their mental filing cabinet for another day.
Yeah.
And sometimes maybe that's like, oh, that's exactly what I need to try.
Yeah. I'm thinking about our coaching workshop on that. No, we actually talk about you share, once you understand what they're struggling with and you articulate the issue, share your perspective if it's relevant in your
Relevant,
experience.
yeah.
And it was oftentimes it's not, even if it looks
Uh-huh.
on the surface that it isn't. Yeah.
And sometimes I think it's actually helpful to say, would it be helpful to you if I shared some of my experiences with that, rather than assuming that that's
Yeah.
what they want
Yeah.
in the first place?
Sure.
So let's summarize
Sure.
For our listeners out there. If you're a listener and you're a leader in the workplace and you're thinking about, what do I do? Or maybe you're like the three of us and you love to solve problems because it feels so good when you do it. And somebody walks into your office with a problem to solve. First thing that we're saying that needs to happen is,
Tell me about it.
tell me about
more.
it.
Yep.
Okay. Second thing might be, what have you tried so far? Then the third thing might be, and what would you like my help with today? In what way would be most helpful to you?
What do you need from me?
What do you need from me? And then if appropriate and relevant and they want it, you might share some of your own experiences with the caveat that you're not them walking through their shoes, through their eyes and their situation.
Right.
Yeah, and I think one missing piece that I'm
Yeah.
just thinking of is, what could we try? What could you do?
What are the options?
Yeah, what are the
Yeah.
options
Yeah.
we could explore together?
You know what I'm reminded of right now? Our coaching strategies for leaders
Right.
workshop. There's so much of
Yes.
what we're talking about comes straight out of that workshop. So If you're a listener out there and you're interested in that, you can find those resources on our website. This wasn't intended to be an advertisement for that workshop, but so much of what we talk about is
I would say everything I pulled in this conversation, in hindsight, would have come from that.
Straight out of that material. Great. With that, we're going to let you go off to solve your own problems. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Achieve Workplace Culture podcast.
Looking for free resources, training, and consulting in the areas of leadership and workplace culture? Be sure to check out achievecenter.com. That's achieve, CENTRE.com.